Hello and good afternoon, good evening, good night. My name's Kieran, this is Pauline. Welcome to Kieran Husband's Photography. If you've never been here before, if you have been here before, welcome back. For those of you that have not been here before, I am a landscape photographer. I come out in all kinds of conditions. So we're on the west coast of Scotland at the moment. I've done a few different videos in various different places like Spain, in Catalonia, over in Wales. I've done a few videos there, lots of different places across England, the Isle of Skye and places like that. So be sure to check out catalogues from other times within my photography adventures. But today we're going to be photographing mountains, trying to create interesting black and whites on dull and overcast days. There is one thing that is really going to help the compositions today in the photography, and that is the fact that there is a mist in the air, which is giving depth between the mountains and the layers, giving different shades and shadows. And the clouds are quite blank, but hopefully we're going to be able to do some lower exposures and bring some more information out. So I think I've got my first composition just over here, and the balance might be slightly off, but there's only one way to find out, and that is by getting the camera out, getting the tripod out and having a little look-see. Okay, so I've got my shot all lined up and I've focused in on this white house just over there. So I've got this white house over here over to the left, and I've angled it and set it up so I've got the bridge just over here over to the right, and hopefully they're going to create a nice balance within that scene. When I'm shooting this is I'm not having any real interest in that foreground, but what I have got is I've got some rocks to start off with, which are nice big boulders, and then that leads into some seaweed, which is more gentle than them big boulders, which then breaks up into little patches of seaweed. So I'm hoping that it gives like a cascade effect, so it's wider to thinner and smaller, helping feed your eye into that scene rather than having just a strong into that scene, just having that gradual effect, that gradient leading in. For the actual shot itself, I've got mountains on this side, mountains on this side, all leading your eye into what? There isn't really a subject other than the house and the bridge itself and the mountains. There isn't one focal point which grabs you and pulls you into that scene. And you might end up getting lost within this picture, which isn't always a good thing, but I feel like having a big, open, grey, white and black scene in front of your eyes might be quite nice. I'm going to take this shot in one exposure. So I'm going to make sure nothing's crushed, none of them highlights are blown out, and I've got a nice balanced image. When I get this back into the computer, then I can really start to mess around with that sky, bringing more drama into there. And I've got a really good technique for that, and it's called a virtual copy. So when you go into Lightroom and you want to do stuff like this and you haven't done multiple exposures, you can make virtual copies with different edits done to it. And then you can put them into Photoshop and you can blend them together. It's a really good way of getting different styles within one image that's only taking one image to capture. That was a bit of waffle, but fingers crossed you're along the lines. If you're not, leave a comment below and I can help clue you in what I'm saying. But I think this shot has been captured. I think we're going to have a little wander over the headland and see if we can find something else. We have been walking around trying to find this. Finally, it's been found. Check this out. But I know this is in colour. But I'm thinking a close-up on this wave of grass, running onto this wave, running onto this curl, pointing out into these mountains in the background. It might not be the strongest image, but I think when you play around with the grayscale a little bit, the contrast between the golden grass and the green grass, and the fact the mountain over here has got light coming out of this side and light coming out of this side, I think that's going to make quite a nice little black and white image. Now it's time to get set up and work out how to capture this baby, this beauty right here. That is where the magic is going to happen. Okay, so this is what I'm looking at, and I am actually quite excited about this. So I'm going to focus stack from this rock here, and imagine this doesn't exist, and it's going to be in a 5-4, but I'm not sure to have these rocks in focus or out of focus to help guide your eye in. If they're in focus, they could be distracting. If they're out of focus, then you're going to look past them, and that's the point. You are meant to look past them. And then I've got these little swirl of grass coming round. I've got this little tuft here up into this mountain, and look at the light coming out of either side, spilling out. I've got this lovely little flick here pointing into that mountain, and I think it's going to be quite a nice little image. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to focus stack it front to back. And that is so if I decide to change my mind, I can, because then I've got them options. And it's important to give yourself options when you're doing shots like this, where, you know, the feeling could change so much and so easily. And I'm going to raise the exposure as I'm going through the focus stack. Okay, so I'm capturing different shadows with different amounts, and hopefully going to build a nice image. And I'm hoping it's not going to look too boring in the background and not interesting enough to be able to bring your eye in. Now, there is one thing that I have been thinking about the entire time I've been capturing this image, and that is whether to remove this little white rock. This little guy. And see if that is too much of a distraction in that immediate foreground. And then later on, if I do think that rock was too jarring and in your face, I've got another option. The power of editing really makes the only thing that is going to limit you is your own imagination. Anyway, so I've captured that image there. I've captured that one over there. And it's been a beautiful time. But I think I'm going to call this vlog here. And my thoughts for this week is, even if it's overcast, dull, and not very inspiring light-wise, you can still go out and capture nice images. If there's no light, find texture. If there's no light and no texture, go black and white. You never know, you might find something good. Anyway, that's going to be all from me this week. Pauline's over on the rock over there, but I'm sure she says goodbye as well. And we'll see you next week. Peace out, peeps.